morning show. My name is Andre Hill. I'm your host on Straight Talk Network. Okay, so we have some exciting topics going on today, but first I want to introduce our panel. As always, we have the chairman up in Detroit. How you doing this morning, chairman?
Grand Rising, everyone. I'm doing fine. We had some great weather yesterday, 72. Now then dropped down to 52. Boy. But other than that, hey, everything is everything.
Yeah, there's some weird weather, man. I'm telling you, I think AI is flipping the switch on us. Also, we have our scholar and great leader of an Aboriginal nation, Mama Khalid. How you doing up in Atlanta, Mama?
I'm doing very, very well. I am healthy, happy, and ready to fight.
Hey, now that's a woman after my heart. Because we got so many women, man. Our women will take that paycheck and that job over this mission. And boy, I tell you, when you find a rare one like you, it makes my day brighter. So, but anyway, let's go into these topics. So, I did a promo on Friday, and my question is, and I know Mama Kelly, the chairman, and also Andre Jr., definitely with the book he wrote, Lucifer's Revenge, is going to break this down. But how did the Europeans get the jump on us here in America? We were the Aboriginals, the original Indians of the Americas. And something went down. I think it's a mystery, because there was such a cover up for so long that we were not the Aboriginals, that we were slaves that came over on the ship. And that ain't what happened. So we want to go into how did they get the jump on us and how are we going to stop it next time? Also, a meteorite hit outside of Cleveland. My question, I asked the chairman, you think that was AI sending a warning? So the chairman going to deliberate on that one, and we'll find out what's going on. The Pentagon is requesting $200 billion. They're already spending $1 billion a day, but an additional $200 billion to send our children into war just for the benefits, to benefit this crazy psychotic maniac over there in the Middle East that's starting all this ruckus. And I got a problem with this. First and foremost, the economy has been jacked up here in the Americas. Rent is high, food is high, and everything is high. So our kids not having access to banks and on our own economic opportunity, they have no choice but to go into the military. So we got to talk about that one a little bit. And so the demons are currently jeopardizing. I got a video we want to play about. They're currently jeopardizing all of our souls on the planet. And so they already know their fate when they signed that blood contract, and they started accepting them benefits so they can do the horrible things they do. We have a choice. We don't have to go along with the old saying, misery loves company. We don't want to go down with them. So we're going to expand on that. Aboriginal Americans, annual spending power, $1.6 to $1.9 billion. Mm-hmm. So we're contributing all that money to this craziness. What will happen if we start diverting that money into institutions that we control, to banks and our own universities that's not following the syllabus of white supremacy? What do you think would happen here in the Americas? Will the whole narrative change? Well, we're getting ready to kick it off and get started. So that first topic, how did Europeans get the jump on us? I'm going to bring up a couple of ideas on it. And hey, I didn't get a chance to introduce Junior. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm here with y'all as usual. I'm just here in the background, pushing the buttons and making sure the show is going smooth.
Right on.
All right, job. Yeah, because I hate to say this, put you on the spot, but man, it wouldn't get done if you wasn't here. That's all good. All right, so I'm gonna bring out a couple of key points. In the 1700 Potomac, he was shot and murdered, and they were kicking Europeans' butts, but all of a sudden the Europeans came in with some advanced technology, and that was the guns and the rifles, and that was one of the reasons. Disease.
Not to interrupt you, but they had a different technology that they primarily still use on us today. It ain't the guns and the rifles. We'll talk about it.
Well, you got to let us know. You got to jump in on that.
Yes.
Okay. They also brought the measles, the mumps, and smallpox. That was one of the killed off millions of them. They had the caste system that they implemented and turned us against each other, and was accented by the Willie Lynch letter. And they kidnapped natives from America, took them back to Europe. So it was almost like the transatlantic trade was reversed. They took us over so they can learn the languages to speak. So those are some of my points. Mama Kelly, you have any ideas on how they got the jump on us?
Well, first of all, we are very kind people. And we allowed them in. And we even made treaties with them. Now, the agreement was for them. Okay, they made a treaty with the Emperor of Morocco. Why? The Emperor of Morocco. Well, Morocco was here. And the agreement was to pay $50 a year to farm. That was the agreement. $50 1 year at a time to farm. Okay? And so George Washington was a part of that agreement. And then after the so-called Revolutionary War, he wrote to the Emperor of Morocco and said that he was very sorry that they were unable to pay the $50 per year because they had been engaged in a war. And so, but he did not, and all of them, that was their moment at that time to neglect all the treaties. Now, what people get confused because they see that Morocco is a country in North Africa, right across from Spain and Portugal. Well, that was only, I think it was 1956 when that country was created as a kingdom. And that's not what it was. The Moors were all over the world. They were traders. And this is one of you have to remember too, that many of the Moors, the ones that they call the dirty Moors, were the conquistadors. And they were very, very brutal. And they did bring the diseases and just ruthless murder. And these were the dirty Moors, okay? People call them the dirty Moors because not all Moors were like that. But the conquistadors, they brought that information. Well, the old Babylonian money magic, sex magic, and blood magic. They brought all of that here, okay? And they were from the Ottoman Empire. Those are the Moors. Now, there were other Moors as well, but the story is very, very long. And so this is not the place. But they did bring those diseases, and I have to also say salmonella. Just recently, the measles, mumps, all of those, yes. But salmonella is the one that got us. And that's what was brought here with the pigs. Now, you have to realize that that was a strict dietary no-no is to eat the swine, but that's what they brought. And they took it all over the world to colonize people. Was those pigs. I was just listening to something about how they took them to the Polynesian islands and everything, those pigs. But this is the history. George Washington, William Penn, Benjamin Franklin, who was an indentured servant. That's how he got over here in the first place. But he ran away as an indentured servant and remade himself, right? But they sold out the so-called original treaty and agreement that was made with the Moroccan Empire. They sold that whole thing out to the European royalties. And that's the treaty of, what was that? The treaty of peace and friendship was with the Moors, but there was another, what was it called? I can't remember right now. But nevertheless, they'll make a treaty and turn around and forget about it the next minute and come with a gun or a knife and stab you in the back. That's very much the way they operate.
So that's where the term "they speak with forked tongue" comes from. Okay, so hey, Junior, you had some input on that. How did that reflect? Did we touch on that in the book Lucifer's Revenge?
Yeah. Mama Kelly gave some good detail to the, let's say, the chronology of the story. I mean, because like she said, it's history and it's a lot to talk about. I mean, if we talked every day straight about this in its entirety, we'd be talking for a month straight, 24 hours a day. But trying my best to compile it, compress it into just a brief explanation. Because Mama Kelly, she brought up the conquistadors, very, very good point. And the dirty Moors. And because, I joke with my people. I mean, I'm serious about it, but I do joke about it when I ask my people. I said, what would possess, some of our African cousins, from the continent to go up into the Iberian Peninsula at the time? Now, just mind you, this way back in 6th or 7th century, and go up there and leave their women at home and go up here and go take on a whole new group of a whole new phenotype, a whole new primitive culture with the intention on civilizing them. I'll be honest, I still to this day can't understand the logic and the motive on it. But that's what our cousins over in Africa who were practicing a scientific form of Islam, what they now call Islam, but then got converted into Abrahamic Islam, along with the entire nation of Moors, right? Because even when we think about Moors, that term, for one, let's just even, at the time, they wouldn't even call Moors, it was Saracens, right? Or they just had a lot of different groups of them. You're talking about the whole continent of Africa, and then also factions of Moors in Europe. Lots of stuff to talk about, but particularly, let's hone in on our melanated Aboriginal African cousins who had heavy dealings with Caucasian phenotype Europeans, because they're the ones who began to work together to some extent for benevolent reasons, for some malevolent reasons, but work their way over here to the Americas at some point, right? But what did they bring with them? That was one of the main, some of the main weapons. Mama Kelly did bring up one of them, was disease. we have to just remember, especially at the time, Europeans did use disease as a war tactic. They knew they showed up in your land with themselves alone. They had to shoot you. It's just shaking your hand. Knew that was an act of war because they knew they were going to pass some germs on to you, and it would potentially wipe out your whole village. And it's an infectious disease, so they can infect your village. Don't let somebody from your village go to another village. All right. So using biological warfare back then was even though they didn't understand a deep science of it like they do today, right? But they understood it to enough extent to utilize it as a war tactic. The other one, when we really think about it, again, we think about conquistadors. What was the religion of conquistadors? Catholicism. What is Catholicism? A faction of Abrahamic religion, particularly Christianity. And we understand, we wrote this in we wrote the origins of all Abrahamic religions in our book, Lucifer's Revenge. So just to qualify for anybody who's listening out there, family, because I think it is important to address this, because some people even ask me from time to time, they'll go to one of our links on one of our websites and they say, what's up with this Lucifer's Revenge link y'all got going on? I was like, listen, family, we ain't Luciferians. That was a book that we wrote. It's a domain name we have for that book, especially when we were promoting it at the time. But in the book, we traced and went over the origin of where that Luciferian agenda and regime came from, for the sake of enlightening you to understand what it is. Not because we practice Luciferianism by any measure, right? But looking at all Abrahamic religions, I was having a discussion with a very sharp brother named Rod Hayes and on Facebook about this the other day, and just tracing back the origins of the priesthood of Yahweh. Mind you, Yahwehism and Luciferianism is two sides of the same coin. As to some people, as disrespectful as that may sound, but I want you to understand, it's like your feelings really don't have a place in this. We need you to actually take a look at the history, take a look at what actually happened. It's like, pick up book if you're going to use religious books like the Bible, the Torah, so forth and so on, as a point of reference. I implore you that you actually look at real anthropology and real history to corroborate.
You froze.
Froze, yeah.
Can you hear
Froze.
us? Both of them.
Uh-huh. Oh, they both froze?
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody's sending a signal in,
There you
trying to
go.
disrupt technology.
Yeah, I told you, as hard as it was for me to get on today,
You're not gonna say the word Luciferianism. They start trying to jump down on us.
They'll kick us out.
They kicked you out, though, Pops. It's all good. It's all good. Talking about that. I see it too. It's talking about the internet is unstable. Yeah, okay.
Number one show on the internet.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to make a comment on that. You guys froze, and we didn't know what happened except you were frozen. But I did want to make a comment on what you were saying, Andre Jr. You're absolutely right. But what we have to remember, as far as the conquistadors are concerned, they were basically the crypto Jews. In other words, or the crypto Jews or the crypto Moors who converted. Remember, 1492 was the fall of Granada. That's when all of the Moors had to leave Spain and Portugal. Okay? They had to leave, or they had to convert. And that's why they call them crypto Jews and crypto Moors, So they converted to the Catholicism and then actually began to create the other religions, like the Protestant religions. And the Protestant religions were created by the crypto Jews, crypto Moors who came over here. Okay. That was just my little addition.
No, I because I appreciate that, Mama Kelly, because you brought my mind to segue into this point, and I'm gonna land the plane with this one.
Mm-hmm.
What did they eventually end up utilizing the most as a main a weapon of warfare? Using not intellectual, psychological warfare.
Absolutely.
I can't strongly express how important it is to understand how much psychological warfare is their main weapon, right? And how long they've been refining the process of it and where they learned it. Even okay, so by the time we even start talking about Catholicism, that is, I would say that's probably about the fifth refined ceremonial or ritualistic weapon they began to learn and use after they learned how to make up gods when they were sending what's the thing? Not Presbyterians. What was some people they started sending down into Egypt? What's their name? Starts with a P. Wrote it in the book. I forget the name of it. They started sending, the Europeans started sending the best of their scholars down into Egypt at the time to learn how to create gods.
Mm-hmm.
They taught them how to make up Jesus, talking about Jesus Christ, not the kinds, because mind you, even in the Torah versus the Bible, what's his name in the Bible? Y'all forgive me. What's Jesus' name in the Bible? His real name?
Yahweh.
Emmanuel.
Yeshua.
Oh, Yeshua.
Right?
Yeah, Yeshua.
Right. Versus Jesus in the Bible. Those are two totally different characters.
Right.
Two totally different. But there is no Bible if there is no Torah. Right? The Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible. So how do you have a Bible without a Torah? But in the Torah, he's Yeshua with a totally different character attribute. Then later on, he's Jesus with a totally different character attribute. Right? But they made it, but they were instructed, they were taught by the priesthoods in Kemet on how to make up gods. They were taught by the priesthoods in Kemet that were infiltrated by, like Mama Kelly said, those Babylonians at the time as well. But that's a lot of history to talk about. But bringing it forward, that's the main weapon of warfare that they use. And it's not just religion. Controlling your perception on every level is their main weapon of warfare. So when we think about media, listen, I was downstairs watching, I was just downstairs, there's a TV out there, and CNN is on. And CNN is just pumping this war thing up, just doing what they regularly do. And so me just being so unplugged from this, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, if this ain't the biggest commercial I've ever seen in my life. Right?
That's right.
And then it dawned on me, I was like, oh yeah, they did the same thing with COVID too. They ran a COVID commercial 24 hours a day. Now they got this war. They're gonna run this 24 hours a day, constantly pumping this into your mind to control your perception, because they knew back then that our perception is what creates this reality on this planet. If they can control our perception, they can control our projection of what this reality is going to be, then they know they can live in a world that they've utilized our perception to recreate a reality for. That's what they're going to constantly do, because that is the only way they can exist in this realm. It's the only way they can exist. They're parasites, so they're going to need a host such as us to project a reality that they can exist in. That is their everyday job. They have nothing else to do.
Right.
So I'll land it right there.
Okay, so for clarity purposes, the original criminals that came to America that approached us what you're saying is that they were melanated black people.
Yes.
You know, people think I'm always hard on my Caucasian cousins, but but the original criminals came over here were melanated people.
Right.
Yeah, and so so that hopefully that will get us in the mindset of understanding as we reclaim our land, our economy, our self-esteem. We won the state championship here in Tampa back in 1969. The coaches would tell us the opposition put their pants on the same way we do, one leg at a time. And that was our driving force. So, these were demented people of color. And it went on to the point when they started losing ground, then they sent the Caucasians over, who were basically slaves to them. Yeah. So we have to understand how this came about. You got to know the history in order for us to fix the future. Mm-hmm. And so that's why the reason. So let's talk about. Hey, Chairman, we're gonna come back to this history in just a minute. Chairman, so two things that I picked up on this week. First of all, a meteorite hit outside of Cleveland. People and some sisters in Cleveland were going like, "Oh, what the hell's going on?" And also, a second wave of drones hit another Air Force base, and the Air Force said, "We can't do nothing about it." So I think it's 3I sending us a warning message. What do you tell us what you think, Chairman?
Well, I can't get into whether it's 3I Atlas because I've seen meteorites with my own eye. I mean, coming from different trips, one time I was in Alabama, I was coming back, I got close to Ohio, and I seen this meteorite. And I mean, it just lit up the sky, and it was right in front of me where I couldn't miss it. And then I didn't really hear a sound because it was so far away, but just the streak. Now, this happens every day. Meteorites are hitting us, but they're of different sizes. They might be the size of a nickel. It could be the size of a basketball. But, this is common for this to happen, So I wouldn't say 3I Atlas because right now, through our telescopes, we've seen that 3I Atlas is past Jupiter now, is headed towards Saturn, and it's not going to make that rendezvous with Jupiter. It's headed on out, but it's still, to me, it's not a comet. It's still, in my eyes, a spaceship. They just came on a reconnaissance situation, checking things out, letting it be known that they're here, because like people say, we walk amongst some extraterrestrials because they're just like us. They're our real cousins, but they're not exposing themselves. They're to check us to make sure we're doing the right thing. Just like we talk about with the space rocket that was going out that had a nuclear warhead, and then the spaceship came up towards it and circled it and shot beams to disarm it. They know what's going on. So that's something that we got to recognize. This is just a part of our existence. We were put here on planet Earth a long time ago, and the technology and the tribes that put us here, they had that technology to drop us off and then leave, but not go totally away far enough where we couldn't see them, where they could observe us. They're observing us now, but we were put here at different times with going with the history thing with Africa. The blacks were the first ones that were put on planet Earth because they're a space-faring nation. They're going to look for the best area, and Africa is the best area on the planet. And when you come to a planet, that's where you want, But we got to recognize that, we're put here to learn how to live in harmony. We were put here first. I think our Caucasian, our Mongol brothers and sisters were put here second, and then our Caucasian brothers were brought here. But my thing is, when our Caucasian brothers came to planet Earth, they knew they came from another planet. When we came here, we really didn't know because we started out, in Africa, living off the fat of the land, learning how to live with each other. And then we had problems where we divided. And you say you wonder how that they capture us. We destroyed ourselves by having internal wars, brothers against brothers and sisters against sisters. That's what really destroyed us. That's why we got to get it together. But our Caucasian brothers, they've always had to try to stay together because they knew they were a minority. When they came to Africa and seen all the blacks in Africa, they knew that, wow, they had to deal with us, so they had to deal with us from afar to observe us, to learn our technique in order to, advance themselves, to approach us and find out what we were all about. So, our purpose is to come together as a human society, learn how to live in harmony, and then we can go in space and live amongst our, brothers and sisters out there. But we can't go out there until we get it together here. This is where it starts at, right here on planet Earth, And I like what Brother Torre or Ibram Torre, what he's doing, trying to make Africa a united Africa. Instead of the United States, it's the United States of Africa. And that's a great thing because, charity begins at home. Get Africa together. Then you can negotiate with these other cultures that are on this planet. And then our extraterrestrial brothers will accept us with open arms. But they're not going to accept us until we get it together. We got to get it together. So I'll land that plane.
All right. Well, that's a heavy plane to land. So while we set up this video for what's going on with the 200 million with the Pentagon, that's probably why they put us on pause. we definitely, as I got a special note after the show, at the end of the show, we pull out this $1.9 billion we have. It's mandatory we pull it together and get our own satellites and our own TV media, broadcasting media, so we can tell each other the truth. Because these fools don't want us telling each other the truth, so they'll block our shows and that kind of crazy thing. So anyway, I was watching.
Do you think it's $1.9 trillion? Because we got billionaires in the United States. So that amount, I think we're spending trillions.
You think it might be?
Yes.
I don't know. I did some research and wrote down billion, but it may be in the trillions. Yeah, absolutely. What are you saying, Jerry?
Oh no, I was just letting you know, Chairman.
Oh, okay. All right. So 200. The Pentagon is requesting 200 billion additional money for this war, and I saw a clip where Ben Netanyahu said, "You cannot win a war with just air support only. So you're gonna need boots on the ground." So who are those boots on the ground? Our children that was through economic pressure to join the military. Now they're being put in a position where they got to go and give up their lives for an agenda that has murdered an entire country, and intend to murder the other ones. So those people saw what happened to Gaza. Don't you? If I was Iran, I'd be lining up, getting ready for, to put down some heavy metal. But our children, any of them politician children going over there to fight the battle?
Nope.
Yeah. So I think if you want to start a war, you should be the first one. You and your children should be the ones ready to go over there and sacrifice. But this is a business deal on the backs and with the blood and sweat of our children that was looking for a way, because, with my 67 years of business experience, we just don't have access to an economy because we don't control our banks. We don't control our own financial situation where we can focus on talents to work out. Yeah.
It just dawned on me, the calling for young men and women, because remember the draft has an age range too. And the calling on our American youth to go into this war is a mass sacrifice.
Yes,
Meaning,
that's what it is, a sacrifice.
yeah, because that's going to tie on many different levels Americans into this, buying into this thing, right? Because mind you, again, landing this plane, that psychological warfare, that ritual, like you say, that Babylonian blood, sex ritual, it requires sacrifice. They've been doing that for thousands of years. And this is a way to do it. They're just doing it on a mass level to get you karmically involved in that whole thing. To get Americans karmically involved in that whole thing. Yeah, that's sick. That's wicked. But go ahead, Pops.
Mama Callie, your thoughts on that?
Okay, it is a mass sacrifice. You have to remember that, okay, the Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible, right? But these Lucifer, the Satanists, they have something called a Talmud. And the Talmud is what they go by. And it is a satanic ritual book that shows, that tells them that they have to conquer all the people in the world. You have to remember what the Zionist agenda has always been for the last 200 years, is to actually rule the world. That's the Zionist position, okay? And so now they're at what they consider to be that final push, that final sacrifice, that final move to take over the world. I mean, this United States is supposed to be, or used to be, the corporation, the most powerful so-called country on earth. Okay, but now this little guy from Netanyahu, whom I don't believe is still alive, he is ruling America right now. We've seen it; it's very clear.
Absolutely.
Because of the Epstein files and everybody and all of the top people in the world who are ruling, and the billionaires and all of them, the high-tech people, all the royal families, everything, those, that 1%, or they're not even 1%, what, 0.001% of the people at the top running the world, they're Satanists. And they are part of this agenda to bring the Zionists into total power, or the Satanists, or should I say, to rule, to raise the Babylonian Empire, through sacrifice, and bringing our young people, girls and boys now.
Yes.
They have actually passed that bill to install the draft, so that when you're 18 years old, automatically you're put in a position to have to go and fight for the Zionist last, should I say, blood sacrifice. And so what is happening now is that they're pushing that. And like Julie just said, CNN, hey, 24/7, they're pushing that agenda. But what we are hearing is that at this point, Tel Aviv, Haifa, and all the major cities of Israel have been destroyed. Now, if you ask, the United Trump, and Netanyahu, the clone, they're saying that they are winning. No, they're not.
Right.
According to everybody else, besides, the mass media, who all Zionists and Satanists here in America and in Europe, They're all pushing that war agenda because that is their final push. The red heifer, and then all of the what they call Goyim, Goyim, which is everybody except the Jews. Even these angelical Christians who are the Zionists and pushing this movement and this blood sacrifice and all this, they're going to be sacrificed.
Absolutely.
Because the Talmudic Jews, the Satanists, they're about sacrificing all Goyim. And see, they don't even understand that part of it. So I think I have nothing else to say.
So I got something that I need to say to all of our elders and to our people that are concerned, because this next video is going to convince you need to divest. First of all, Mama Kelly, we're going to set up a university called Mama Kelly University within our Aboriginal, because she's going to set a standard for what our women should be. She is the epitome of the most magnificent woman on the planet. So for some of you, if you got some extra money in your savings account that or you think about investing in the stock market, which is foolishness, instead invest in Mama Kelly. Do you have a Cash App, anything set up?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. I have a Cash App. It's $ Mama Mittie. That's a capital MAMA, and then Mittie capital MITTIE. Yes, $ Mama Mittie, MITTIE. That's my Cash App. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So she is a warrior, and she's going to teach at Mama Kelly University with UAAR, United Aboriginal American Republic. She's going to teach our women how to be real women, real warriors, how to nurture properly, how to take care of the men and the children. And our program is teaching our men how to build and protect. That's our primary objective. And so, if you didn't get that, you have a problem, you can send it to uaarnation.org and earmark it, Mama Kelly, if you have any problems getting into that Cash App situation. Also, I was up pondering what we need right now. We have no leverage as a nation. People used to go, well, I'm going to call up the NAACP. And you tell them that now, they'll laugh in your face. So wouldn't you love to have a nation of warrior elders and you and young people like the UAAR? So I hadn't cleared this with my son yet, but there's a fee for getting your status correction. You can go to UAAR and get that worked out. But if you think there's you want to invest, send $25 a month, and at the end of the year he'll convert to give you your status correction and get you involved in this nation. And we're gonna get funds. We're gonna be funded because we're relentless, and we're gonna build on Mama Kelly's land. We were down in Georgia last weekend. We have land down there to build on, to start taking our children out of this BS. Why let us send them to the army to let Satan's army murder and sacrifice them when you can get the UAR? So people, you got to get involved. You got to get involved with this nation, because we are building leverage. Every nation has leverage to negotiate with these crazy people that's in these political positions. If you don't have any leverage, you up the creek. Go ahead and play that video, man.
Putin came out with a statement this morning saying that America is putting the world energy market at risk. And this is true. America has a stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz, keeping it closed because America is broke. America has no leverage. America cannot buy any commodities around the world because of Donald Trump's actions. Donald Trump killed trade in America, and he killed the American economy, and he killed the standing of America on the global stage. The countries of the world are on the brink of taking action against America to not only stop America, but to stop America's military. This is a very scary situation. Putin would not make this statement if he had not already talked with other leaders of the world. The other leaders of the world are about to take action against Donald Trump and America. This is what's coming. Donald Trump has gotten America into a corner, and America could not get itself out of it. God loves you. I love you.
All right. So, hey, Mama Kelly, any comments on that one?
Well, okay. It is true. I'm not sure how to even say this. Okay, there is that battle for the Strait of Hormuz, which is a little area of I think it's 30 something miles wide, where all the ships go up to fill up with oil. Okay, especially to Iran, because that is how they get to Iran to fill up the oil. Now, you have to remember that the world is dependent on that oil. Okay? Now, as far as what Donald Trump, this is the deep state Donald Trump, because there are more than one Donald Trumps. The deep state Donald Trump is the one who has allowed Benjamin Netanyahu and the head of the Likud party there in Israel and all of those guys actually take over America. Okay, so that Donald Trump deep state, he's the one who has actually made all these statements about how they cannot win this war. It can't be done. First of all, Israel has no more defense weapons. That shield, so-called shield that they had, was finished off by Iran. Their major cities are all looking like Gaza now, and because they have been destroyed. Now, going in to get that oil at the Strait of Hormuz, this is the economy of the world. China gets I think it's half of its oil from Iran, or through that Strait of Hormuz, which is different from the Gulf of Oman. See, and so you have to, many of the Arab states, their oil and gas goes out through the Strait of the Gulf of Oman, and so what we have here is, because that oil cannot flow at this time, the whole world economy shuts down because people do not have energy. I really don't know what's going to go down from here, because I haven't figured out how they're going to take out this deep state Trump. Now, a very interesting thing that I saw yesterday, and I can't even remember whose website it was on, or whose account it was on, but Donald Trump was given a white hat in the couple of days ago. Okay, he was given a white hat, and on his desk was a book that was a guide for, improvements over the years at the White House. Okay, and so what the person who put this video out said was, hey, when was the last time that one of us one of our presidents was given a white hat, cowboy hat, big one, big white a cowboy hat. And when was that? JFK. He was given a white hat in Dallas, no, not in Austin, I believe, just before they started driving to Dallas, where he was assassinated. And then that guidebook for the changes in the White House, who started it? Jackie Kennedy. So he's saying, hey, because we know that there is a move to remove the deep state Donald Trump, this may be the sign that they're about to take him down.
Okay.
Now, everything they do is signs and symbols, everything, numbers, everything, signs and symbols. And if indeed the last time that a president was given a white hat was the day that was a sign that he was going to be killed, then perhaps this is what we're about to see. I don't know. Nobody knows. But this one sharp, and I think he was a retired military who pointed this out, then it may be true. I don't know. I don't know how they can actually remove this one Trump and put the other one back in charge. I don't know. But this is what's going on now. And I found that to be extremely interesting. This white hat thing. It's a symbol, it's a sign. And I yield.
All right, so to our people that are stressing out, you don't have to stress out worried about the economy. What we're doing, what we're building with UAAR is we're setting up an escrow account. Instead of putting money into the stock market, you can set up an escrow account with UAAR. You will have an account number. You'll get an override on whatever interest that the European people are paying. But we cannot rely on the European construct because it's not designed for us to prosper. As a matter of fact, I think it was always designed to eliminate us, our penal code, because our penal code was created by the Most High. And anybody that does not have that original penal code is always, our people are always asking, why they hate us so much? Well, because you got the original penal code. And so that mindset is to exterminate it. You can't compete with it. You can't outdo it. So, we eliminate it. So we understand that mental and spiritual sickness and all of those. Now, this is a hard statement for you to swallow. All of those Abrahamic religions that if you're praying to them, Lucifer created those religions. Yeah. So they're not going to protect you. This UAR concept of dealing with the Most High, that's your protection. We're tapping into a higher frequency, to restore our spiritual self-esteem. So you can go to UAR, you can set up your account with our escrow account. That money gives us leverage to build on Mama Kelly's property, on our property, or for those that want to be your own chief. We will help set you up with your own tribe, because I know we got a lot of egos out there. I got to be the chief. I got one in my family. If I ain't the chief, I don't want to be involved. So we will set you up with a chief. But the key formula is joining a collective. And that gives us power and leverage. Right now, you have no power or leverage here in the United States government, and we're being slowly. I'm losing friends every week in my generation. You know, they're disappearing. They're killing us in the medical industries and with the food and everything. We're reversing all of that. You know, so we're gonna start moving towards closing out. Then my son, he's gonna explain to you what status correction is. If you don't have money to start your status correction, just set up an account with him. Put in $25 a month, and then at the end of the year, he'll do your status correction. But meanwhile, you are part of UALR movement, and you're getting information on what moves we're gonna make. Because I'm willing to guarantee you, the only plans you have is, okay, growing a garden in the backyard, and there are a few Aboriginals starting to buy little towns. I think David Spell said he bought a town. But if you are operating on this Luciferian agenda, they will attack you if you don't have the protection of the Aboriginal collective. That's the highest frequency on this planet. If you don't have that protection, them demons coming after you. And they're going to force you to surrender to their blood contract because misery loves company. So as we move to close out, Chairman, so any closing statements on, I still think the AI is manipulating things on this planet.
I do have a comment. Last week I mentioned about that retired Major General of the Air Force. He was missing.
Yes.
And they still haven't found him, and they're looking for foul play. And you don't see it on your regular news. The only way you're going to see it is if you surf through the YouTube, you know. But something like this should be publicized throughout the country to put all eyes out there to find out where is he at. You know, he's only been retired for 10 years, but he was the head of the UFO and the UAP branch in the Pentagon. So this guy is heavyweight. You know, what is going on?
What do you have to say, Mama Gella?
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that. You know, a retired Major General.
Yes,
Yeah,
of Air
well,
Force.
there are there are a lot of military that are stepping down because they cannot go along. In fact, that ship that is right outside the Strait of Hormuz, is that the Gerald Ford? I believe it is.
I think it was.
Or one of them, that one of the ships, the crew started fire because they said they were not going to go into that area and get killed. And this is what do they call mutiny?
Yes, yes.
And so they started a fire. You're not going to hear about it. If CNN will tell you that these guys are ready to go to war, they said they ain't gonna go to war.
I seen that on YouTube. Yes, you're right.
They stuffed the T-shirts down the toilet system too. I think I heard that. You hear that one, Chairman?
Something about that, yes. But I know the fire for sure because I seen that on YouTube.
Right. So those that are already in the military are saying no. We ain't going to die for Israel.
Yeah, boy, that's some. And Ben Netanyahu, he knows the minute all this calms down, he's going to be prosecuted for some bad dealings.
War crimes.
War crimes. Yes.
Yeah, and there's another one. Wait a minute now. I think that Germany just stopped backing Israel in the IJC, International Court of Justice, or ICJ, whatever it is, International Court of Justice. You remember that South Africa accused Israel of genocide and took it to the World Court? Yes, and the European Union backed Israel. Well, honey, they just took that back.
Right.
They
I
said,
heard something.
we cannot. Well, they're sitting there without gas, without oil, and it's still cold over there.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
So why should they support this continuation? Now, CNN is probably going to tell you something else. MSNBC or MS Now, which they had changed their name,
Yes.
so this is it. I mean, hey, there is protests everywhere, but we got to watch these evangelical Christians who we have to wonder what's
Yeah, this
their
is
head.
bad programming. So that's why the Straight Talk Show, we don't get paid for this. We do this out of the love for our people and to build a new paradigm, a new utopia. And I definitely never want to sound like a Baptist preacher asking for money or passing the plate. But it's going to take those resources. If you're holding on to resources, might as well invest in an escrow account. We're going to turn things around. We're going to invest in institutions for our children, for our people, and understand this as an elder on our council of elder. We we're in our last chapter, and we know that playing games, stealing money, divesting, doing crazy things is not in our best interest in that reincarnation process. So we know you've had a lot of bad leaders, bad preachers running off, mistreating you, but we understand the true morality of the universe and your money, your resources, and your children. Just with what my colleague teach, what my son, he would definitely be on that with that university of Mama Kelly on the UAR, and they have knowledge to teach our children the truth, to realign them. And so that they can evolve on a higher frequency. Hey, man, to close it out with what the status correction and what kind of leverage that gives us as a nation.
I'm gonna say what I said last time, right? So first and foremost, you mentioned let's say like a payment plan for the nationality process. Yes. We do that. Like say for instance, people hit me up all the time. They say, "Hey fam, I ain't got the money for it right now. Can I pay like $50 a week on it?" I'm like, yes you can. Because again, it's not about the money to us. It's about us helping you get your family straight. That's what it's mostly about to us, right? So that is an option. You just, you still sign up the same way. Go to uaarnation.org, go to the nationality page, go through the process. Okay. All the instructions are there. And one way or another, you're going to be able to communicate with me or communicate with my executive assistant, and we can discuss that if it's an option for you. But what is status correction? In a nutshell, the real truth of it, because people ask me this all the time, what's the benefits of it? What comes along with it? And I always say this, I'm not a salesman, family. I don't know how to sell y'all status correction. I'm only going to tell y'all what the true intrinsic value of it is, which is you getting with a collective of your people of like mind and spirit and building your way into the future. That's it. That's what the main benefit is. So does it come with a political designation within this corporate jurisdiction of the United States? Yes, of course it does, right? But but my thing is, family, listen, we're not a tribe on paper. It's less about the paperwork, more so about how you operate and how you move, how you utilize that. How do you utilize yourself in this? So again, our primary goal is to get you and your family straight, because strong families is the only thing that makes up a strong tribe. That's all the tribe is, a collection of families. Right? That's all a community is, a collection of families. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna land it right there. That is the primary benefit. Now, mind you, yes, we got all the instrumentalities. Can I set you up or assist you with setting up your trust structures? correctly? Yes. Can I help you set you up an Aboriginal business so that you can move in ministerial capacity so you can exercise tax exemptions in a lot of cases? Yes. The nationality process, of course, that's the main thing. Also, too, like Dad said, we can also help you establish your own tribal government and/or clan. Yeah, we can do that too, and we'll treaty with you, so that you have a formal recognition but a actual collaboration in what you're doing. Because again, we ain't just doing this for the accolade of it. In other words, we ain't doing this like when you go to college, you just get the degree just to get the degree. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like when we say treaty, it automatically comes with language of this is how we're going to specifically collaborate. Right? How we're going to specifically collaborate, how we're going to tangibly and empirically work together, primarily for the sake of the heirs, the children, the beneficiaries, for the next generations. But I say this to everybody in all the orientations when I do the nationality. I don't even have children yet. Working on it, but I don't have them yet. I'm not building this for me. It's like I'm having fun building the foundation, but I'm building this for y'all's children. This is for y'all's children. That's what that's for. That's it. That's all. Right. So again, just go to uaarnation.org. Go to the nationalization page. We got our website, very easy to navigate, and just fill out the forms. Our administration team are constantly updating and refining the form, so that makes it easier for you to fill out the information and get whatever information that you need. And we're not one of those type of tribes to where you're gonna be just filling out stuff online and never talk to nobody. No, it's like the way we work is we want to talk to you. We want to have a meeting of the minds with you in the first place, right? We want to know that, that for one, because we want to protect our people in our tribe, that you are of sound mind and your intentions are pure and true, for one, right? Also, two, once we get past that, we want to make sure again that you are straight and your family straight, and y'all can move forward with your family goals. That's going to be the greatest technology moving forward into the future. Strong Aboriginal families. That's going to be the greatest technology right there. It ain't going to get no better than that. Because again, remember what we talked about earlier. Their primary warfare against us is psychological warfare. So controlling your children's mind so that they can use them to project their reality that they feel comfortable living in. They meaning parasitic, demonic entities. Them. When we say them, we're like, who is them? Them. That's what we're talking about. All of them. We mentioned someone who Netanyahu, Trump, and whatever form he's in. All of them. They want to use your children as a projector to project the reality that they are comfortable in, not your children. So we're remedying that. We're building spaces. We're building the foundation for our people can convene, get together, collaborate, and build into the future. So I'll land that plane right there. Again, one more time. That is the main benefit of joining the tribe. It's like there's no product or services that I can tell you about that we have that is greater than that. Okay. But so I'll land that plane right there. Unless anybody got anything else to say, family.
Hey man, all I got to say is get with the collective. This is the only option that we have left. Go to uaarnation.org. Get signed up. Let us know when you want to get involved with the escrow program. You want to get your status correction. It helps build a collective. It gives us leverage because you have no leverage. We have no leverage right now other than this unity. And let's keep it moving. Hey, any other final statements before we close it? Hey, this has been the Straight Talk Morning Show, and look forward to seeing you next Saturday.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Conversation, peace.